Hi, and welcome to another one of our episodes, Kiddy Talk. Today when we went out, we asked the kids whether or not they knew who Esther was. Let's go out and see what the kids had to say about that.
Was Esther a character in the Bible?
Yes.
And what was her story about?
She was a queen of the Jews, and one of the king's servants wanted to kill all the Jews, so she made up a plan and defeated the servant and saved the Jews.
Who was Esther?
She was a queen.
Do you know anything else about her?
Nope.
Who was Esther?
She was a girl who freed the Egyptians and was the king's wife.
Who was Esther?
The queen of Israel.
Who was Esther?
Esther is one of Ruth's cousins.
Who is Esther?
Esther is a person that was someone wanted to kill her because she was a Christian, but she stopped it from happening because she talked to the king.
Who was Esther? Do you know who's Esther?
He was a queen. He was a king.
Who was Esther?
Esther was an Israel woman who had a cousin named Mordecai, and when Mordecai found out that the king wanted a new wife, he sent Esther to become the wife, and she saved God's people from being killed by the king.
Who was Esther?
She was chosen to marry the king, and she saved the Jews.
Do you know who's Esther?
Yes.
Who is she?
She married the king.
Who was Esther? Who was Esther? Was she a character in the Bible?
I'm not sure.
Do you know who was Esther?
Yeah.
Who's Esther?
Esther the guy. Well, I don't know all about him, but I heard of him in the Bible.
So those are some pretty good answers that the kids had to say. A lot of the kids knew that Esther was actually a queen. Some of the kids thought she was related to Ruth, which I don't believe that's correct. But what was really good is that a lot of the children knew that Esther was a queen. So let's talk about the story of Esther. Esther was actually an orphan. She didn't have her mother and her father around. So her uncle, Mordecai, actually was the one that raised her. Esther was raised to know God and to love him. And one day, when she grew up more, the king was actually looking for a wife. So he sent out all his servants to choose all the women around so that he could choose which woman he could marry. And actually, after he took all the women and saw all of them, he liked Esther the most because she was the most beautiful and the nicest woman. So Esther became the queen at that time. Now, after some time when she was married, her uncle Mordecai found out about a plot to kill the king. he heard two men talking about how they wanted to kill him. So Mordecai quickly went to Esther and he told her the story. And she went to the king and she told him that Mordecai heard these things and to stop these men who are trying to kill him. So the king found out about this and he caught the bad men and he punished them. So he wrote this in the book of Chronicles, which writes all the stories that the kings go through. Later on, as time passed by, a man named Haman came and he started to rise to power. He was a very selfish, prideful man, and he actually wanted everyone to bow down before him. He asked everyone to make sure that they did. But Mordecai, who worshipped God and God alone, refused to bow down to Haman. He said, "There's no way I'm going to bow down to him." And so Haman got very annoyed at Mordecai, and he became jealous of him and didn't really like him very much. So Haman made a plot so that he could kill all the Jews. Now when Esther found this out, she was very scared. The king did not know that she was a Jewish woman, and so she was afraid that he would kill all her people and even kill her. So what Esther did is that she had a huge banquet and invited the king, and she also invited Haman. And she had this for one night after the other, for 3 nights in a row. She also asked the people of Israel to all fast and pray for her so that she can find favor with the king. And finally, on the 3rd night of the banquets and the parties that she had, she told the king what her request was. And her request was that he spare her life. And he told her, "Who is trying to kill you, my queen?" And she told him that Haman actually had a plot to kill her because he wanted to kill all the Jewish people. And so, at that time, the king found out the evil plot that Haman had, and he was actually punished for it, and he was actually killed the same way that Haman had wanted to kill Mordecai. So Esther, with her bravery and with her courage, was able to save all the people of Israel, and Mordecai was also saved, and he was honored by the king for his bravery. I hope that you learned something new about the story of Esther today. And just to remind you of one thing, Esther is a book in the Old Testament. It's one of 2 books in the entire Bible that are named after women. I hope that you learned something new today in our episode of Kiddy Talk, and we'll see you again next time. Have a great day.